The following is a Big Sioux Media production.
Welcome to this edition of People of Big Sioux Media. Today, we are so graciously joined by Eve and Sam Pickard of the Dell Rapids area. For those of you that don't know, Eve is the secretary at the high school at Dell Rapids Public School. But more importantly, Eve has been the public face of COVID-19 for the Dell Rapids area since May 15th. So first of all, thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Eve, let's start. May 15th, you get your test results in. What was the first thing that crossed your mind?
I guess when I received a phone call from the Department of Health, she verified my name and my birth date, and I could tell even before she said my results that I had tested positive just because of the way she was reacting and just handling me with kid gloves and making sure I was okay. And I think she maybe expected me to break down and start crying or something, but I just listened to what she had to say and all of her recommendations and started making plans from there.
So the timing, it's never a good timing to get sick, and especially with sick with something like this, but the timing, especially for you, was pretty hurting, devastating type thing, because it's right before graduation and word got out and graduation was canceled. What went through your mind after that whole process?
Not quite sure I should say that, but what I will say is they kept on asking me, do you have any shortness of breath? Is it hard for you to breathe? Are you coughing? And the only really time that I had any time of shortness of breath or a coughing spell was when I found out that they canceled graduation. And that was only because I was really upset and I was crying, and I just felt bad that all of the students, all of the seniors had this just wasn't a year that they had planned. They had had so many things taken away from them, from prom to the last day of school, and now graduation. And I had a lot of people support me and give me words of encouragement, but when it came down to things, it was because I came down with this disease. I know I didn't ask for it and that, but it still was because of me that they had graduation canceled. So I felt responsible and I felt horrible, but I had lots of people come alongside me, figuratively speaking. I was in isolation, of course, but and just gave me the support and the words of encouragement that I needed. So with that, I got through it.
For the most part, you got people in Dells know who you are, and Sam, you're with Rescue Church on Facebook a lot, but you guys are pretty private. What came to the decision because the school was very good about not saying who it was and just said, we have a staff member, and yet you made the decision to come out and put yourself forward. How difficult of a decision was that, and how did you guys come about that decision?
That actually came in part because of our oldest, Miriam. We were talking about this after it had happened, the night that we got the diagnosis, and we're looking at what was going to happen with our lives, what it was going to look like, and we started to get a lot of support, like you said, a ton of support from people saying, "Hey, we're praying for you, we're thinking of you. How you guys doing? What do you need?" Sort of those types of questions. And Miriam made the comment jokingly, we should start a YouTube channel right now and put a post out daily with an update. And so kind of laughed at that idea, and then the next day after thinking about it, said it'd be a great opportunity to do that. So we started posting daily. But before that, as everything was happening, and part of, again, what's spawned this idea to do it on Facebook versus something on YouTube was as the word was coming out and the school was truly respecting Eve's privacy in it, And people were asking questions like, who is it? What do you know? Just that stuff that kind of goes below the surface. Eve made the comment to me, I want to say that it's me because I don't want people spreading rumors, trying to figure out who it is. It just would be easier if we came out and said, hey, it's us. I'm sorry. I really love these kids. I feel bad because as sad as some of the kids were, I think some of the parents were equally sad and maybe even more so because every parent wants what's best for their kid. And so to put a face with the reason was helpful. And that way no one was out there spreading, I don't want to say spreading rumors, but just wondering behind the scenes, well, who is it? What is it? Did I come in contact with them? And all of that. So we just decided to be out there and let everybody know what was going on.
So there were daily updates, and some of them, it was a diagnosis of what was going on and how Eve was feeling. And there were some chuckle moments in there too. As you've gone back and read, first of all, have you gone back and reread what's been said in there and kind of looked at, oh my gosh, I can't believe we said that, or oh, we should have elaborated on this a little bit more. Have you gone back and reread what you wrote starting on the 15th?
I haven't recently. Around the time we were doing it, we would read it or we tried to respond to the comments as much as we could. I don't know that there was ever a time. There was a couple grammatical errors where I was like, that was stupid. And I went back and changed some of those. But that was more my pride that got hurt than anything as far as saying, oh, I wish I had said less. Some of the stuff I added in the comments, like one of the questions people were asking, one of the most common questions was about the symptoms. And how did you know that you had this? That was probably one of the more common questions that came out of it. So then we respond in there and fill in the answers. A lot of it was my writing, but even I would communicate on it so that it was both of us. But it got to a point where she had a terrible headache and didn't want to respond every day. Plus, the constant chiming of her phone was not necessarily the greatest with a headache. So she kind of muted her phone, and I tried to handle that.
Well, the Department of Health kept on calling. I didn't really want to talk to them.
That too.
So let's talk through some of these symptoms, because I don't think people kind of realize, we hear about people getting it, we hear about the hospitalization and the deaths, but really the severity of it and the pain that went along with it. Can you touch on that a little bit? We've heard the headaches, but just things like the lack of taste and the breathing and all of that.
Yeah, I would be happy to. I know that this is, for me, though, I know that there have been cases of people going into the hospital and being hooked up to ventilators, and I never had that. So I feel blessed in that way. I didn't know I had it, and honestly, I didn't have any symptoms except for a fever. I came home and I was exhausted, and I had a headache at that time. And usually when I have headaches, I have a fever. So I took my temp and I had a 99 temperature on that Wednesday. So I laid down, took a nap. When I woke up, it was 101. And so that was kind of our first clue, but I still didn't feel any different. I just had a headache and I just had a fever. So that really at that point was the worst of it. When we decided to take the test, then all I wanted to do was to be able to say that I tested, but it's negative and I can still do graduation. I can still help with that. Once I tested positive and then they put me on isolation, I don't know if it was more, if it was a hypochondriac or if it was in my head, but my head hurt. It was a bad headache. I suffer from migraines, and it was pretty similar to that. My eyes hurt so bad. When I would look straight forward, it would be fine, but if I turned my head to grab my water, my eyes hurt extremely bad. I would have some aches and pain in my joints. My knees hurt and my hips hurt at one point, but that was pretty short-lived. I didn't have any trouble breathing, or I didn't have coughing. I just had a couple runny nose, a couple times that I blew my nose, but it felt more like a head cold. It was all in my sinuses and my head. My ears hurt so bad. And then, towards the end there, I lost my sense of smell and taste. I also lost 5 pounds, so that was good.
Sam,
of course, I gained everything back. The smell, the taste, and the pounds, but whatever.
Talk about the quarantine, how you worked it in the house, how it affected you guys, how it affected the kids, really, as you put yourself in isolation and had to put the whole family in isolation.
Yeah, that was you wouldn't think it was a big deal. I think, honestly, I'll talk about what it was like for us, but Eve's commented that for her, it was one of the, probably maybe the hardest part, worse than the headache, worse than anything, is not being able to be around anybody, is almost the worst part. But for the rest of us, you don't realize how little things like, oh, I could run to the gas station, or I can run and order a pizza at Pizza Ranch, or I can pick up something at Papa's, or we can do drive-through at Dairy Queen. You don't realize how much that just that break out of your house is appreciated. So the hard part was truly not leaving your house and not leaving the house. The kids, for Micah, he like your son, loves the games, and most of his social interaction, they'll watch a movie or a TV show or something together and chat over Xbox Live. They'll play games and chat over Xbox Live. So he'll be on his phone, talking on his phone while talking to somebody on Xbox Live. I don't know that he even knows that we were ever on quarantine, to be honest with you. The rest of us, the girls and I, for us, it was a big deal because you just kind of go crazy. Like, I just want to run to the coffee shop, or I just want to go get something just to get out. I can't imagine if this was winter. I put in a number of hours working out on our patio, sitting at the table, because I could just get out of the house. If I hadn't been able to do that, I think I would have lost my mind. But so how we figured it, how we handled it, was I moved out. We had a guest bed that I slept in, and the kids were in their rooms. Every morning we would take temperatures. Every evening we'd take temperatures. We had what we called family temp time, checking to see where that was all at, how we were doing. And then it was, I guess, managing the house while Eve wasn't in there. We tried to do games, a puzzle. People were great. I know Eve said it already, but people were truly great. We received people dropping off care packages. We had some friends drop off Nerf guns, which there's a certain Nerf bullet that actually hits harder than the other ones, so those got used the most. And we'd ambush each other. I was working too, but everything's remote, so like even the preaching, it was going back to trying to record in my office in the basement. The newspaper stuff that I do with the Dell's Journal, all that was online and over the phone. So we still went on with our normal activities, with the exception of actually seeing people.
Talk about what you think the 2 weeks did for your family dynamics. How much closer it brought maybe the kids together, because they didn't have, especially the girls, you talk about Micah was kind of in his own little world, but how much closer that they had to interact and things like that. And what you learned about your family dynamic with Eve kind of removed for 10 days or so.
Do you have thoughts? No. I'm clearly the talker. I would say one of the things that was fun, we were intentional about trying to find activities through the day. When I say it was was a lot of life as usual. There was part of that, and a lot of that, but there was also being intentional about playing. There's a game called Fibbage that's on Apple TV and it's on Roku and a bunch of other things. But we would play that. It's done through your phone or a mobile device or whatever. So Eve could actually play from the bedroom and be a part of the game. So we did some of that, finding creative ways to do things there. We put together a puzzle, a 1,000-piece puzzle. We found out that Miriam has no patience for puzzles, and Kirti actually enjoys them. So I think we did 2,000-piece puzzles, just for fun there. I mentioned but really what it did is we do a lot of stuff, I think, as a family anyway. Family is very important to us. So this just gave us another opportunity to, instead of complaining about, oh, this is awful, why do we have to be here, looking for ways to have fun as a family and try and pass the time. Movie nights, we had people that donated Amazon gift cards to us, so we were able to rent movies and have family movie nights, and do some of those things as well.
One of the things I also want to touch on, and you brought up that you were still working on your preaching during this time. Talk about how your faith got you through these 2 weeks. I mean, you talk about it's not like vacation from mom, but with Eve right in the house and being separated. How did your faith and that type of thing get you through this?
I would say, and step in, you can feel free to interrupt. For us, I think there was always is a big word, so I want to be careful, but a confidence that we would get through it, not knowing what it would look like, but the belief that God is still in control and He is still over all of it, so we'll get through it. That was part of it. Maybe, though, as big or bigger as Eve and I have talked, was she made the comment numerous times that if the worst thing that can happen is I die, I know where I'm going, so I'm not afraid of that. So I guess I think that there was not really a fear in it. Is that a fair statement?
I think so, yeah.
So it helps that there was no fear, and I guess somewhat of a confidence knowing that God was in control. Not kind of. I mean, there was completely that. Just realizing He's in control and it's going to work out. And it was just great to see people come through for us. And that's one thing. I'll get a little maybe on faith, but that's not necessarily faith so much, but as having a faith family or a church that you're a part of. We had people in the community that were awesome and came alongside us. We had friends that came alongside us, but we had a lot of connection from friends and connected people through our church that would look in on us and check in on us as well. And so I think that was another way. It's not really faith, but it's when you have that church family, just like when you have that close group of baseball family or a whatever sport family, basketball, the tournament teams, you got that connected group. To have that connected group in a church too, it's just another way that there's different people looking out for you. So we were blessed with all of that.
I think for me, there was just so many unknowns. I would talk to the Department of Health and I would ask questions like, the difference between isolation and quarantine, and now do I have antibodies, and am I good forever now? I'll never get this type deal. Nobody could really give me a straight answer, and I would ponder on that. I would process that with all of my time. And I just kept on thinking, nobody knows what's going on. Nobody has any answers. But then I thought, right now I'm not supposed to know the answers. And right now I'm not supposed to know everything what's going on. But I know God knows. And He's in control. And He's got this. I had a couple students from Dell's give me a sign that said, "You got this." And I really appreciated it. It brought tears to my eyes when they brought it to me. And every time I read that, I thought, I have this, but God has it too. I have it. I have COVID, but God has control. So that helped.
So as we talk about this when we wrap this up, advice you would give people in the community, because it's still out there, and I'll been out in the community, and you see, I'd say 50% wearing masks, 50% not wearing masks, people not sanitizing. What's the advice you have to people after what you guys have gone through?
That's a great question.
I would say, you gotta take care of yourself. If it makes you feel better to wear a mask, then wear a mask. I would be big on don't judge people that don't wear a mask, or don't judge people that are wearing a mask. It's kind of your own call there. And don't be afraid. We talk about our faith and not having any fear because we know that there's a plan, but there's just so many things out there that we don't know yet. And I think that was a big part of why the reaction we had was, I didn't know what was going to happen, because, worst case scenarios, and as humans, we always go towards a worst case scenario, but it wasn't for me. Like I said, it was just a bad head cold. And I don't like to panic, and I tend to sometimes, but I think it's just, calm down and look at things from a different perspective. Don't judge people who decide to wear masks or who decide not to wear masks. Take care of yourself, and find a good book or a good Netflix, because if you do get it, then you have lots of time on your hands. Use it wisely.
What I would add just a little bit onto what she said. One is, this is just our opinion, and we've talked about this, so take it as just that, not medical advice. But our opinion is, if you can use the Dell's Clinic, because we had started on the Wednesday before we got the diagnosis. We started with online telemed, and they were good. There was not a negative thing there. It was once we got the answer from them that, hey, we really can't do a test right now. Sounds like you have it, but so quarantine, start taking steps, which we did, but we can't really test you. And come Friday morning, we decided, just as things were going, that we were going to talk to our local clinic and who we work with there, and just said, hey, here's what's going on, here's the background. And because they knew us and the situation, they were able to say, oh no, this sounds like it's worth going in. And then conversely, in my case, the Department of Health wanted me to go get a test because I had a cough, but with some health stuff of mine, I've had a cough, and it's every year I typically go in about April, May, and get a steroid to get over this cough that I get every winter. Department of Health said, well, if you got a cough, go get it taken care of. And I said, well, can I talk to my doctor? And I called the clinic, and they said, no, we don't really think this is a concern. So that would be one thing that we would say, I think, is our opinion. Take it as an opinion, that using local medical and having a relationship with them is a huge help. So that I guess would be one other piece of advice that we throw out there.
Yeah, because I think if I wouldn't have if Dells wouldn't have said go get tested, I probably would have infected a lot of people because I wanted to go to graduation. Mm-hmm. So I think just having that to confirm, and just having Dells know their people, and they knew what I did, they wanted to have that confirmation as well, and I'm glad they said that.
Something else I guess I'd throw out there is that Eve said it. She was very fortunate, as she wasn't one of them that got really sick. We have family and friends that work in medical. One of them I talked to, they had a patient that died. Another one that I talked to has had friends that ended up in the hospital on a respirator, not sure they were going to make it. So the word of caution I'll throw out there is, just because for Eve it wasn't something that landed her in the hospital on a respirator doesn't mean that it hasn't been serious for others. We've seen it, and friends of ours have seen it firsthand, that this does have the potential to be serious. So that'd be another piece of advice I'd throw out there. And the last thing I had, I would be careful to just be aware that you probably don't know what everybody's thinking behind the scenes. People that would reach out to us and say things like, "Hey, and it was usually in a Facebook message or sometimes a text, would say, "Hey, this happened to me. Do you think I'm just worried?" So there's a lot of people worried. Maybe that's too strong a word. Concerned around you, and so just be cognizant of that as well. That you're not making fun of the reality that this could happen and this could be out there, because there's people around you that are scared. People that have asthma. I know that's one person that reached out to me. They have severe asthma and they're scared, and rightly so, I would suppose. So just know that you may be healthy, you may be fine, but that doesn't mean that that person next to you doesn't deal with asthma, or doesn't have cancer that they haven't told you about, or doesn't have some heart issue or some other underlying issue like diabetes that could be a significant health factor in this. So that would be the other thing. Just be aware. It's not all about you. There's other people around you.
Or they may be going home to an elderly
True.
couple and bringing it back to them.
Those are all great words of advice. We would like to thank you here at Big Sioux Media for the two of you joining us. I know this isn't your cup of tea, Eve, and when I reached out, it was, I reached this out to Sam for a reason, to be the buffer there. So we would like to thank you guys very much for joining us here on People of Big Sioux Media. We're glad you're healthy. Matt and I both have a personal connection to both of you, whether it's through our relationship at school or through children. So we want to thank, we're very happy to see that you came through this. We also are very happy that you have joined us here for this podcast this week for the People of Big Sioux Media. God bless both of you, and thank you so much for joining us. My name is Lee Palmer. Look for us next week on the People of Big Sioux Media.